Thompson 运营着几家跨种族约会网站。据他所说，如今跨文化关系变得非常实际，而且对那些还在寻找爱的人来说，成为了越来越常见的选择。
My advice for people who to date may not have considered dating someone from a different culture is give it a go. But of course, if you're having trouble meeting and being introduced to people, there's always interracial dating sites out there. So give it a go is my advice. You need to embrace the differences, appreciate them and see them as an opportunity to grow and become more worldly. And that will require compromise.
It's just that compromises are good because just if you want something and the other person wants something different, compromising is easy because you can get something in the middle.
For cross-cultural relationship, the difference will be more than the couple from the same culture. Yeah, but again, even for the people from same culture, you still need to adjust each other. You're still different, and so the issue is not about the difference. The issue is your attitude to deal with the difference.
Like, I want to do 2 hours, but she wants to do 1 hour. It's easy to say, okay, 1 hour and 30 minutes because it's much easier because it's just like bang, because you could lose the fight and have to do only 1 hour, but 1 hour and 30 minutes is better.
心理学家和关系顾问 Eve Ash 认为，单一文化的旧澳洲已经让多样化的新社会给取代了。
I think that we're seeing Australia become quite an interesting integrated culture of mixed races of all different people from over 100 countries, and if you look at any little pocket on the street you won't see a white Anglo group of people. You will see a lot of Asians, you'll see a lot of Indians, you'll see tall, short, blonde, dark, and it's wonderful. That is the world that we are heading to, of a very mixed world.
Mickey.
对中国移民像 Dawn 来说，新澳洲变成了一个非常热情的国家。
Yeah, and now we are very happy to live in this country. We don't have any doubt or people look us down.
Well, it's like Chinese New Year festival in the city, or in any of the towns, Springvale, Footscray, where there's Asian communities. It's not just Asian communities that come out to celebrate New Year. Everyone in the local area will come out because the food's great. It comes out during Chinese New Year, and you watch the lion dances, and it's great. Great festival, great feeling of community. So
I'm really starting to think that, as we go forward, that you're going to see more mixing of cultures, and it's not going to become like the Chinese and the Italians and the Greeks. It's just going to become a whole lot more blended.
I read in the newspaper this week about the Americans starting to lot more soldiers into the Darwin bases because of the threat to Major. And so while that still remains, there's an onus on us to help to break down those barriers and those concerns and that paranoia about other races.
生活在一个越渐多样化的社会里，在所有明显的福利中，文化加盟仍然是强大的一项。
Yeah, you still think you are Chinese?
I still think I'm Australian Chinese. Because growing up at home, my parents spoke Chinese at home, which encouraged us to make sure we still learn the language. And I also grew up with my grandparents as well. So in terms of knowing about Chinese culture, like Chinese New Year customs and things like that, there are certain aspects I still have, the Chinese culture. But if you ask me, to give you some information about Chinese history or Chinese geography, I'm not very good.
I personally believe that, like my children, they identify themselves as Australian very much, rather than identify themselves as Chinese or Czech or anybody else. I think they had a strong identity because they felt they are the product of multiculturalism in practice in this day and age.
避开主要是理论领域的政治风气和社会背景来说，跨文化关系和其他恋爱关系一样，只是两人间的结合。
At the end of the day, you've got a male and a female, and or two people coming together, and two people that fall in love, and it's a matter of sharing and embracing and looking after and treating each other well.
Just be adventurous. There are lots of things you don't know. Cross-cultural marriage bring you something that is very exciting. A lot of unknowns, but also ask you to work double hard to get it work, because a lot of people getting lazier and they don't want to work at the relationship, and also thinking the exoticness will carry the relationship forward. It wouldn't.
A sense of humour, as long as it's understood, will take you a long way between different cultures.
Ultimately, I think it's whether the same culture or different culture, it is ultimately love, the relationship, whether you of the two persons. So there's no real difference whether it's cultural or not cultural.
I guess in terms of cross-cultural, relationships, Alex and I aren't the only couple that have that, and we have many friends that also have a similar situation, and I just really believe that that in Melbourne, if you find the right person, that you find the right chemistry, that it really doesn't matter what ethnic background they're from or what their cultural background is, because in terms of the foundation of the relationship, it's all about your values and your belief systems. If they're the same, then nothing else sort of really matters too much.
Maybe that's a lot to do here in Australia to do with our immigration policy and everybody coming in. I mean, as you travel around the world and you go to places like maybe Egypt and you go into parts of Asia and things like that, it's very much just the people that are living there. But if you're Canada or Australia, New Zealand, places like that, you are getting a lot more cross diversity, I guess.
One of the big issues that the government's always banging on about, boat people, can't let them in. But I find it a bit ironic because immigration and mixing of cultures is what makes Australia unique, or what makes Australia great, I think.
I think it's just really about tolerance. As the world getting smaller and smaller, we seems to be closer and closer, and the cultural differences doesn't make that much difference to all of us. I mean, there's probably, genetic speaking, the different race only like 1 or 2% differences. So I think that all of this racism is coming from one fear of unknown. They really fear of something could happen to them. This kind of thing. When we more communicate more, probably that kind of fear would disappear someday.
Actually, cross-cultural relationship is the best way to bring people together. Yeah, like Leo. Leo, he's growing up in a cross-cultural family. To him, he just so natural to accept different cultures in his life.
休息过后，夫妇们窥视着未来。
And maybe there's a lesson in there for people of the same culture, that like we do with a cross-cultural relationship, talk, listen, communicate, analyse and talk. Maybe every other relationship in the world can do the same thing, and if we saw that, maybe we wouldn't see so many divorce rates.